We'll begin now step 4 of our merchandise plan, Excel exercise. So far we've set up the framework for our 6-month plan in step 1. In step 2 we forecast our sales. In step 3 we have forecast our beginning of the month stock and calculated our ending of the month stock, and now we're ready to forecast our markdowns. And this will be the last component part of our 6-month plan that we do forecast. The rest of the calculations on this form are calculations. So the very first thing we need to do is to, again, as we have done in the past, format our row under markdowns for percents by highlighting the row under percent, going to format cells, and to percentages where we have one place, decimal place, and hitting OK. And then we will format our plan row for currency as we have done in the past, and that will be a $ with no decimal points. The very first variable on the markdowns is to forecast the seasonal percentage. As you can see, we're following along in our packet, our hard copy, and we have forecast our seasonal markdowns for 23.11%. And this is unlike the other percentages. We are going to change this format to 2 places. We want to be as accurate as possible for our seasonal markdown percent. So we're going to forecast that as 23.11%. In order to calculate our dollars, our seasonal dollars, we again start our formula by putting an equal sign. We're going to multiply our forecasted percentage, 23.11%, times, again the asterisk, our seasonal sales, and that's going to give us, once we hit enter, $115,500 for the season for markdowns. We would then forecast our percentages for each month, thinking again about what kind of promotions and sales and holidays we have. Let's follow along with what we have in our hard copy. So August would be 21%, and September 19%, October 18%, 22% for November, 25% in December, and 35% in January. And these basically have to average our 23%. So what we want to do when we're forecasting these, and as a buyer we'll have last year's to look at, we want to come basically to an average of 23.11%. Let's go ahead and calculate our dollars for each one of these months. We start again with calculations and formulas, always with an equals, and just as we did with our seasonal dollars, we're going to and seasonal percentage, we're going to multiply our forecasted percentage times our seasonal times our August sales, and hit enter. We can, as we did with our retail stock beginning of the month, we can click and drag this formula rather than typing it each month. We do that by highlighting it, going to that cell, moving our cursor to the bottom right hand corner where we see the change in that cursor, and just clicking and dragging that across, because we do each part of our formula is in the same row, and it moves to the right. So September would be 19% times $60,000, 18% times $70,000. So it's easy to click and drag it, and you can verify those numbers through your hard copy. And now what we want to do in retail purchases, it is merely a calculation for this variable. We start with an equal sign, retail purchases. We're going to add 3 of our variables and subtract 1. So we're going to come up here to sales, and we're going to take sales, and we're going to add that to our markdowns, and we're going to add that to our ending stock. And then what we're going to do is come up to the formula bar. So we add 3 of our variables and we subtract 1. We're going to put a parenthesis around what we add, and then we're going to subtract our BOM for August. And that will be our calculation. And again, we need to make sure that this row is formatted for currency and no pennies. And make sure that we have a $sign in here. Okay. So this formula, again, I'm going to do one more to show you an example. Equals before, and that would be go up to September's sales plus markdowns plus ending stock. Come up to the formula bar, put a parenthesis around our 3 variables that we're going to add. We then put a subtraction sign and come down to the BOM and hit equal. And you can verify your numbers on your hard copy. We can click and drag this now because all of the variables are moved to the right, our 3 additions and our 1 subtraction. Once we have verified that those numbers are correct, what we want to do is an auto sum to get the sum of our retail purchases for the season, highlighting again our variables, our numbers that we just calculated, coming up to the toolbar, clicking formulas, and hitting auto sum. So our seasonal total is $639,050. For our final calculation here, we're doing cost purchases, and we're going to then say that our cost purchases are our initial markup. In order to calculate cost purchases, we're going to format this to percents, and it's going to have one place. And our percentage of initial markup is 57, as you'll notice in your hard copy, and our formula is going to be equal sign. We always start out with an equal sign, and then we're going to multiply retail purchases times 100% minus our initial markup and close our parentheses. Now notice we forgot to format this for currency. We'll do that right now. Format cells, currency, no decimal places, and $sign. There we go. Can we click and drag this? Yes. Once we have copied our initial markup percent all the way across, going to the bottom right hand corner, copy this across to our 5 months. Then we can copy our formula for cost purchases. Let me go ahead and calculate it one more time for you. Equal sign, take our retail purchases, multiply that, and again we're going to do a parentheses 100% minus initial markup, which will give us our cost percent, and that gives us our cost purchases. Let's go down to the bottom right hand corner then and drag that across, finalizing our calculations for cost purchases, and then running again a season total.